Welcome back, everyone. I am your host, Chase Chewning, and this is your weekly source for inspiring content from people who are putting a purpose to their passion and truly living a life ever forward. This is Ever Forward Radio. Hello. Happy Monday to you, everybody, if you're listening to this on launch day. If not, happy day. Sure, we'll go with that. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for continuing week by week to just leave some incredible feedback. Take some time out of your day to drop a rating and a review. It really does help this podcast grow, help bring awareness to the content that we're providing, specifically over on the iTunes charts. And this has been another great week of some amazing reviews. I want to take a few seconds now to go ahead and jump in to this week's iTunes Review of the Week. This is coming from username P. Deli, and P. Deli writes, honestly, such an amazing fitness podcast. Firstly, I have to say Chase's voice is so well suited for this format. He's got such a relaxing and pleasant sound going, which alone makes for a soothing listen after a long day. Thankfully, though, the actual content of each episode is so informative and fresh that this podcast is more than just background noise on my drives from work. Chase is clearly informed on a lot of the topics he covers and definitely familiarizes himself with his guests, which makes the flow of their discussions and, by result, the podcast organic, insightful, and robust with information. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and as someone in dire need of kickstarting their health and wellness journey, EF Radio has been invaluable. Thanks, Chase. Well, P. Deli, thank you very much for leaving this well-suited review on iTunes. This has been a well-received 5-star rating and review. Much appreciated. I'm glad to hear that the effort and the work that I put into the production and the homework with all of my guests shines through, because I always want to make sure that this isn't just a script-for-script carbon copy of any other interview you may hear with someone. I really want to get engaged with them. I want to know their background. I want to know what they're working on right now, and I want to know what they're doing in the next month, 6 months, 10 years. I really want to, get inside them in that moment and provide something new and fresh and insightful for my own personal benefit as well as everyone listening. So, P. Deli, thank you. And for taking time out to leave that review. I have a few copies left of my former guest, Greg Cheek, his book, 3 Points of Contact. I'm going to be contacting you and mailing you out a fresh, brand new copy. So I read that you are kickstarting your own health and wellness journey. I definitely think Greg's book will help you out there, okay? So thank you again. And speaking of health and wellness journeys, you all may be able to hear it a little bit in my throat, but this change of the weather, change of the seasons, when it goes from here in D.C., it's just humid, hot one day, next day, all of a sudden it's fall, cold, and windy, and it really kind of just throws my body out of whack a little bit. And I got to say, our sponsor always helps keep me on my toes. Talking about Organifi, you all know that this is part of my morning ritual. I use them every morning, down my water, down my Organifi green juice. But lately I've been kind of double dipping into the health, if you will. And I've been having a second dose later on in the day for the past couple of days. And just when I'm beginning to feel a little bit of that blah, for lack of a better term, Organifi really does seemingly immediately, definitely within minutes, just give me back a little bit of energy, makes me feel good, makes me feel better to my cellular level. Anyone who's tried this, you definitely know what I'm talking about. This is a product that just delivers on what it promises, and they are going to deliver to you a great deal. Please go ahead and check them out, Organifi.com. You can use it on the super greens, on the red juice, the green juice, whatever product that kind of stands out to you there. They're going to offer you 20% off your entire initial order. All you need to do at checkout is just go ahead and throw in promo code EverForward, and they're going to hook it up for you, okay? So if you're like me and feel like you need a little extra boost during this dip in the weather, I can't recommend enough the green juice. Go ahead and get one for you in the morning, maybe double down for a couple of days in the afternoon. You will not be disappointed, all right? Now let's get ready to dive into this week's episode. I'm talking with a guy that I know I've been following for a long time. His training protocol, his work, his contributions over on Mark Bell's podcast, and all of the content they put out over at Super Training Gym with Slingshot. None other than Mr. Silent Mike Farr. He is going to be sharing his journey with us today, his story of how he kind of got his feet wet in the entrepreneurial world, realized that he didn't really know exactly what he was doing. And by no means am I saying this is a bad way, but if you really listen to his message, he talks about how he knows what he knows and he knows what he doesn't know. And when he doesn't know something, he still shows up, he shuts up, and he becomes a sponge. He throws himself into a room with people that are stronger than him, funnier than him, smarter than him, more successful than him. And this is definitely a big takeaway of this interview and a takeaway of the Ever Forward message as a whole, in that be confident and be strong in what you know, but do not be so self-centered or egotistical or a seemingly know-it-all that you think you know it all. I promise you, you don't. I don't. We're all still figuring it out. But Mike here, he does a great job of kind of sharing his journey of how he learned from the best and how he was able to be that sponge to take what he needed and then apply it on his new journey now. He is doing his own thing. Silent Mike is Silent Mike. He has had some amazing experiences with Mark and the whole crew over at Super Training Gym, and he just realized that it's time for him to share and pass that information along to his followers and his content audience. So I really hope you enjoy this episode, listening to it as much as I did talking to this amazing guy doing big things. Always great connecting with like-minded people, okay? So go ahead and enjoy this week's episode, diving in with Silent Mike. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ever Forward Radio. This is going to be one of the strongest episodes you probably have heard in a while. I'm joined by none other than Mr. Silent Mike.
What's happening, guys?
Silent Mike, that's not your real name, right?
No, I should change it to a legal name, but it's not. It's more like the rap name for now.
Yeah, I like it. When's the mixtape drop?
Yeah, dude. We put out a rap song at Super Training.
Really?
It's on Spotify. Check it out.
Oh, man, I got to get better at my homework then.
Dude, we're out there. We're in every category you want to be in. Everywhere you can find me, I want to be.
So you said it. I mean, super trainer, rapper, mixtape dropper, Silent Mike. If you follow any of the big online YouTube fitness names, you definitely have seen this guy. You've heard him drop some wisdom on coaching and technique and strength training, particularly from everybody from Bart Kwan over at Barbell Brigade to, I think, even recently, I just miss you, man. We crossed paths a little too soon with Nick Bear's event down in Texas.
Yeah. I've been all in your world, bro. I was hanging out with Mr. Max Chewning in L.A.
Yeah.
I was at Nick Bear's for a while. Yeah, everywhere.
Well, maybe one day we'll actually get to say hi in person.
I know. I need to make it to D.C. I told you off air that one of my best friends, for 20 years, lives in D.C., so I just need to actually book a flight and head out there.
Anytime, come on down. I know a guy who has a cool private gym. Maybe we could go work out there or something.
Yeah, I'm down.
And they're cool with filming too, so it's nice. I know the owner.
It's selfie friendly.
Very selfie friendly. Very selfie friendly. But Mike, for those of the listeners who don't know you, let's learn a little bit about you. Introduce yourself. Who is this silent guy I'm talking to?
Yeah, my name is Mike Farr. Most people know me in the internet world as Silent Mike. I played basketball pretty competitively for about 15 years. Within that path, I found strength and conditioning fairly early. I'm a 5'8" Italian, and knowing my dad was 5'6", early in my life, I figured out that basketball is going to be a very difficult route unless I get a lot stronger, a lot faster, and a lot smarter than people I'm going to play against. So started training with a strength coach probably around 7th or 8th grade, whatever the heck age that is, 13 maybe.
Sounds right.
Luckily, I had super supportive parents, and they wanted me. They know how much I love basketball. Through that time, I guess in hindsight, in retrospect, was when I really started to learn about kind of goal setting, finding accomplishments, and kind of finding, I guess, what my true passion is without getting too deep and weird already, but just
Let's get weird.
Yeah, what progress. People are going to be like, who is this pseudo shitty motivational guy that actually hasn't done anything? Progress is like what satisfies me, and I set my first goal that I can remember in 7th or 8th grade, that I want to make my varsity team as a freshman in high school. I went to a pretty small high school. We were really good at basketball, but very small, so it was difficult. I mean, not impossible, but difficult. I ended up accomplishing that goal through, hours and hours of hard work. The first real taste of hard work I got was about 8th grade. And ended up playing a little bit of junior college basketball, figured out it wasn't for me. Long story short, was going to go then work out, get back into shape after I quit junior college and wanted to walk onto a D1 school or bigger. Got in the best shape of my life, started doing a ridiculous amount of research on the human body, training in general. Basically led me to powerlifting. When you start to research how to jump higher, how to run faster, you're going to come along some kind of squat or deadlift. And then from there, basically, my mind kind of made its own decision where basketball, 50% of it is practice. And I didn't like practicing basketball. I like playing games. I like the showmanship. I like the competitiveness. In powerlifting, training is what I loved. And potentially, training could be 90 to 100% of what you do if you don't ever want to compete. So that's where I put in most of my time. Did that about 3 or 4 years as I owned my own gym at about age 20, 21. I owned a little personal training facility. I worked with some athletes.
Where were you this time?
Sacramento. Yeah, I've always been in Sacramento, California. I was born technically in Portland, Oregon, but moved to Sacramento very young age. And I love it here. It's, people that aren't from California always think about beaches and beautiful sun and fake boobs and fake people. But Northern California, as you were saying, you're quite familiar with, is very, very different. You can get to the snow in the most beautiful mountains you've ever seen in an hour and a half. You can get to the ocean, not quite beach type ocean, but you can get to a beautiful coast in an hour and a half. Yeah, it's still an ocean. It's just not Hawaii, but you can get to some water. You got big city if you want to get to San Francisco. Sacramento is the capital, but it's low key. It's small enough, but not too small. I don't know. I just love it. So I don't really see myself moving. So I coached high school basketball. I was running my own training facility. I was going to school part-time. And I was actually working at a commercial gym, selling gym memberships and personal training. So I don't know. You do the math. I don't know how many hours I was working in a week, but I literally didn't have time to breathe. The gym I was owning, failed, if there's no lack better term, because my energies were elsewhere, and I didn't put my sole focus into it. So I ended up closing that up. And that's about the time I found Super Training Gym, owned by Mark Bell, 2011 or so. Now I'm aging myself.
Pretty sure I got you beat on that, man.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
All right, we're right there. I'm 29.
Oh yeah, we're good.
So we're in the pocket. So started training there. Started learning a lot. Mark at the time did a little bit of YouTube. He did some voiceovers. He probably had 10,000 subscribers or something like that. And that's where the name Silent Mike came along. I didn't really talk to anybody. Squat suits, bench shirts were the deal at the time. Everybody was squatting 1,000 pounds there, benching over 700, deadlifting over 700, and I'm a 22-year-old kid. And I was kind of strong for your everyday gym. I probably benched 315 and pulled 500, maybe squatted 500, but this was the big leagues. So I kind of shut up, learned my place, started to learn, just work my tail off. And then when I was sick of kind of spinning my wheels left and right with, 4 or 5 jobs I felt like I was going nowhere, I basically just texted Mark. He had the company Slingshot at the time, but it had only been around maybe a year or two. And I just said, hey, man, I know you have a company. Do you need an employee? And he said, I guess. And so I showed up to his house and started packing slingshots. And then I guess the rest is history on the internet.
On the interwebs, that's all you need to know. Just put it online, and then your success is made, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but the rest of it is, at least the story is told online.
Yeah, man. I mean, definitely something I picked up from your story and what we were kind of talking about earlier was just this ability to show up, shut up, and just absorb and surround yourself not only with like-minded people, but technically a lot stronger people, physically stronger, and perhaps even at that level, mentally stronger. What was it like walking into that environment where, I mean, the numbers you were talking about are definitely great numbers, to push, pull, squat, press, whatever. But, I mean, you said yourself that these guys, this was the big league. So what was it like walking into that type of arena and just having to kind of humble yourself, I'm sure, because you realize that this is where you could be to grow?
Yeah, I've said it a lot of times, and many people have, but, if you want to be strong, you got to hang out with the strong. If you want to be funny, you got to hang out with comedians. If you want to be rich, you should probably hang out with millionaires. If you want to be kind, hang out with kind people. If you want to be positive, surround yourself with positive people, and that's something I guess I was lucky to know inherently somehow. Hopefully my parents taught me that or whatever it is, but to be honest, it was insanely intimidating. And people say that, and some people just don't show up. And people say that and still show up and have no issues. But, there was literally times within the first 2 or 3 months where I drove around the block of the gym fuck, dude, should I go in here or not? Maybe I should go back home. Nah.
No way.
And I would literally drive around for 10 minutes. I've never said this on any podcast ever, but I was so scared to go in there because I was like, dude, I don't belong here. These guys are literally world record holders. I'm some punk basketball player. Basketball players aren't strong. I shouldn't be in here. And that went through my head for a long time.
What was that limiting belief really holding you back? Was it just because, I mean, you were coming from a basketball background and this was really more strength, powerlifting style stuff? Or, I mean, what was that kind of voice in the back of your head telling you you're not good enough?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've always had a weird situation as the human that I am, where I'm insanely confident and insanely self-conscious at the same time. And the only thing at now being pretty self-aware at 28 that I feel that where those kind of work is that I'm just really self-critical. And I think that's a good thing. Who knows? We all have our issues, but I think I was just so. I thought that I had to get better before I should even show up there, and I mentioned that many times to my friend who brought me there, and even Mark. Man, dude, I don't know if I really belong here because I was the only guy lifting raw, as I mentioned. They were all lifting in squat suits. Literally, 30% of the people there were world record holders. They were all over 30. I was the youngest guy. They were all over 300 pounds. I weighed about 190 at the time. I was literally squatting with the one or two ladies that were on the team, and they were kicking my ass every week, man. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Bad time.
Yeah, something you said kind of caught my attention. The difference between being self-aware and self-critical. Could you maybe expand upon that? What's really the difference, and what maybe do you mean between the two?
Yeah, I think being self-aware is something I talk about a lot. I just think it's important to not only spend time alone, but spend time thinking about who you are, how you act, and why you do things. And that could be as simple as how you talk and how you treat people, to literally what job you have, what you do every day, how you're spending your time and energy. And then I guess self-critical to me just basically means that it's very similar in the sense that I just I want to be great. I want to be amazing. I want to do amazing things. And for me to accomplish that, again, good or bad, I don't know. I just nitpick what I'm bad at, and then I try to make the things I'm bad at one of my strengths. And that works really easy in the gym. It's so black and white, right? I suck at deadlifting. I have to deadlift more. Oh, my back is small. I should do more chin-ups and rows. In life, it gets a little more complicated, but I think if you use the same tactics, you can get far in life. And far in life, by what I mean, is just find happiness and find fulfillment, because being self-aware and self-critical, although they've caused me a lot of roller coaster up and down in terms of emotions and life, it's also, I think, made me who I am, and I think I'm going to have more happy days than sad days.
What's something right now, Mike, that you think you're bad at?
Man, I mean, there's a ton of things. Something that I actually respect from a lot of people is obviously content creating. And though I have a decent following on Instagram and YouTube, I don't think I'm as good as I want to be at it. Telling a story and vlogging is very, very difficult. It's something that I really admire in your brother, actually. The thought process and the creativity he puts in is insane.
The art and the science.
It really is. It really is. And people think like, oh, it's easy. Just throw a camera on your face and tell them what you're eating every day. But especially the evolution your brother's gone through, and a lot of other YouTubers as well. Yeah. It's insane. And I just need to step up my game. I need to study more. I need to learn more. I need to be put more thought into it. And that's something that I've really thought about within the last month or so. As well as just focusing in on my goals. I think it's a human nature to chase multiple goals at the same time. But I think you need to really just hone in on three to five really solid goals. And that's something I haven't been doing that I need to do a little bit better.
Okay. What's something you're good at right now besides pulling heavy-ass weight?
I think, day-to-day stuff, what I kind of pride myself on is just try to be happy and kind of spread that. And it sounds so stupid, but be it a gentleman or not, I just like to open the door for people. When you go to Chipotle, they always say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Like, I like to look them in the eye and say, "How are you doing?"
Oh man, it's so funny you mentioned that. I was doing another interview last night when I was down in Atlanta, and it's so funny, these small things that just we make these connections with other human beings that seems so foreign these days that catches people off guard, man. And it's just, I do the exact same thing. It's definitely, I think, it sounds like, maybe we had kind of some similar upbringing in that you open the door for people. You say please, you say thank you. You look people in the eye and you respond back to them. Nowadays, like, you do that and people look at you like you're trying to creep on them or something. It's so it's so foreign, which blows my mind. It's sad, really.
Yeah, I think it's insanely important, especially, going back to being self-aware. The amount of time I do spend alone and I spend on my phone and on the internet, when I do get human interaction, I want it to be something. And I think without that, obviously life, to me is meaningless without friends or without just being like a good person from the small things to the big things, I think really add up. So I think lately I've done a pretty decent job of that, and that's something, like you said, I think it is our upbringing. My dad passed away as well as yours guys' so I've always kind of related to the story of the Chewnings.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah, it was a little bit older. It was in my early 20s. Okay. But I think, something I've learned from that as well is just to appreciate humans. My best friend passed away when I was 18. And things like that when you're 18 or even early 20s, or I guess you were probably your late teens.
I was 19.
Yeah, when things like that happen, it's so hard to comprehend life. I mean, it's still hard. Like, what the hell does any of it mean? But the thing I take from it is to try to absorb some of the characteristics that I loved in my father and my best friend, and try to absorb those every day and be that person. And that's something that my dad was the nicest human on the planet. He was loyal to a fault. He was the nicest gentleman on the planet. And my best friend was the most happy-go-lucky human on the planet. We could be literally eating dog shit, and somehow he would make it fun. And those are things that I want to do. And hopefully I'm good at them. I don't know. You can ask the people around me.
Hey everybody, I just want to take a quick second to talk about something that's been a valuable resource in getting time back into my busy schedule. I'm talking about using meal delivery service Freshly.com. Freshly has a wide variety of types of foods, and I'm talking high protein, low carb, vegetarian, breakfast dishes, even paleo. Best of all, everything you get from Freshly.com is 100% gluten-free. Each meal I get from them is saving me about an hour of preparation time, and every meal is cooking in less than about 3 minutes. Another amazing thing that I love about how I get my food is that it all comes fresh, never frozen, in 100% recyclable and biodegradable materials. Good for me and good for the environment. Freshly is going to put an amazing value into your day by using their meal delivery service. All you need to do is go check out Freshly.com, use promo code EverForward at checkout, and you're going to save $40 off of your entire order. And it doesn't matter if you get 4, 6, or even 12 meals a week, you get the same $40 off of that initial order. So go try them out. I've been using them for weeks. I absolutely love their meals. Tastes amazing. Put it in the microwave, plate it up. You got a great cooked meal, saving me a lot of time so I can get back into creating these podcasts and interviewing these incredible guests. Again, freshly.com, promo code EVER4 at checkout. You're going to get $40 in savings off of your first order. Now let's go ahead and jump right back into this week's episode. Again, man, product of your environment, I think, rings true in a lot of ways, and your upbringing and the people that you choose to surround yourself with. And what's the saying that you are the sum or the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with?
Yeah, so true.
So who's in your 5 right now? Who are the people that is making up your average?
Man, I spend a lot of time with my girlfriend. Yeah, I spend a lot of time with my girlfriend right now. I spend a lot of time with my mom. She's local, and she's pretty much the only one in her family here in America. I spend a lot of time with my homie Connor, who edits a lot of my videos and films a lot of my videos. Lucky enough that he's a friend. And that's about it. Between that and then a lot of traveling. So when I travel, I like to visit friends. I like to visit, again, those kind of like-minded people. And I guess those crew would kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah, I wonder if you're like me. I find myself, I really like to try to keep like a tight-knit group, a small group of loyal, quality friends. Honestly, at this point, I consider them all family. But
yeah.
Sometimes it almost becomes, I feel, almost a little selfish, because I love just the interaction with other people, and I love learning other people's obstacles and successes, and just trying to be of service as much as possible. It's really wild what you can pull from people just by doing what you said earlier, looking them in the eye, paying attention, and having that quality engagement, quality relationship building with someone. Goes miles for me. That's been the best process for my self-help, self-development, self-learning, whatever you want to call it, is just having that tight-knit group, that niche of people that you can go to for anything and everything, and that you can also at the same time be of service to.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think podcasting was a huge piece of that. I was at a co-host on a podcast at Super Training for about 4 years, maybe 3.5 years, and learning people, learning life, learning stories through that was literally the most fun I've ever had in content creating. And then I 100% agree with you. My close-knit friends are a little different and weird, because the school I went to was an art school. From kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, it was the same school. Yeah. So, and my graduating class was like 26 people.
I got you beat, man. I graduated class of 6.
No way.
Yeah, it's great for me because
where the heck in Virginia are you guys from?
It's great. I tell everybody that I graduated top 6 in my class, and like, damn, you must be really smart. I'm like, well, there were only 6 people in my class, but
from high school?
Yeah, I went to a small private school from like 8th grade, technically halfway through 7th grade, all the way through high school. Yeah,
that's insane. In Virginia?
In Virginia, yeah. We grew up down in Roanoke, Virginia, Southwest Virginia.
That's so small.
I know. 6 people, man. And also another even more amazing statistic is I technically dated half the girls in my class. There were only 2 girls.
Dang. What kind of school was it? Just whatever?
Small private Christian school.
Dang. Yeah, so those are like the kind of schools that were in my basketball league, because our school was, kind of a liberal arts school, and there's 20 of us. And so you'd have to find schools, with similar sizes. And some of them were like that, like the entire high school is on the basketball team.
Seriously. Yeah, that literally was us. Every sport we had, and there weren't a lot, the whole grade or even 2 grades was the entire team of whatever sport we were playing.
That's wild. So, yeah, you definitely understand me then, where, and in my graduating class, there's probably 20% of those people or more had been in my class since like 3rd grade or younger. So, like, my best friends I've known since 2 of them were in 3rd grade with me, and the other one was kindergarten. So they literally are a family.
It's wild how it sounds like you started small group and just stay that way your entire life. Do you ever feel like you were maybe restricting yourself, or, for even lack of a better question, missing out on something?
Yeah, I've definitely thought about it. In 8th grade, I had a good chance to go to like kind of the bigger Catholic school here in Sacramento that's pretty dang good at sports. And without recruiting me, because that's illegal, they tried to recruit me. And so looking back, I was like, man, that would have been cool, right? Have the class of, 300 guys and played football and done all this stuff, as well as college. I went to junior college. I had my hood on the whole time. I wasn't talking to anybody. I got my schoolwork done and got out of there. And I think the only thing, I don't regret any of it by any means, and I don't think I missed out. The only thing I think some miss out that are in the situation I am is that they're actually antisocial. I find myself pretty introverted. I like to be alone. I gain my energy alone. But I think I can hold a decent conversation. I think I know the social norms. I think I can fit in a big crowd, medium crowd, small crowd. But some people, I think, that came from schools like you and I may not have that in them.
Yeah, it's funny you touch on that because, you and I both travel in very similar circles. We have a lot of the same network and know similar people, and a lot of those people put themselves out there, ourselves included. This content creation, video, audio, insert medium platform here. And it's wild to me the amount of people that on paper, on video, on audio are these extreme, outgoing, obvious extroverts. Who wouldn't be an extrovert if you're not putting yourself in front of thousands, hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of people? And then I meet them, and they're the most shy, semi-awkward, introverted people. I'm like, man, what is it where's that disconnect between, kind of being an introvert, being, I guess, your normal self, and then able to kind of just put on when, you're in front of a camera, in front of a microphone?
Yeah, it is true. And I don't know, maybe just the whole millennial thing, and that's kind of the age, a little bit younger than us, but us as well,
I think
that kind of grew up on the internet.
Yeah, you're able to be social without actually being social.
Yeah, I feel like I was kind of on the cusp of that, where I hit MySpace, but I was already like a teenager, AOL Messenger, but I was already a teenager. So you already had all this other stuff where, 8 years or more younger than us, literally that's all they had. By the time they were in 5th grade, Facebook was already crushing it.
Oh, man, it's funny you mentioned MySpace because I'll never forget the day that I got a MySpace account. I had just transferred I was stationed in Monterey, California at the time. I just got to Texas. I was in a small training environment in Goodfellow Air Force Base in San Angelo, Texas. There was a Best Buy and a Buffalo Wild Wings. That was about the only thing I had going for it. And Max texted me. I think we were actually chatting on AOL Instant Message or something. He's like, Chase, what's your MySpace page? I was like, what the hell? What the hell is MySpace, dude? And he's like, oh my God, you're so old. So he's like, yeah, I got you. What songs do you like? Who are your favorite artists? What are your favorite colors? Blah, blah, blah. And he built me my first MySpace page.
So funny.
And he's like, now you're cool. I'm like, thanks, dude.
MySpace was cool. MySpace was awesome.
Yeah, who was in your top 8?
Yeah, I think it was probably maybe freshman year of high school, 8th grade. It was all the boys. It was like the basketball team.
Yeah.
But then, you could change your song by your mood. Everyone's going through emo times. You throw on Dashboard Confessional or something, and then you feeling awesome. You throw on some Ludacris.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're taking me back.
So good.
Damn. So what are you up to these days? You were part of the Super Trainers for a long time, working with Mark Bell, doing great things, and then just decided to kind of move on to the next thing. So what was that next thing for you?
Yeah, it wasn't insanely planned out, but neither was any of my career choices or paths. So I think mostly I just felt that, again, to grow as a human, as a coach, as a content creator, I just had to put myself outside of this comfort zone a little bit financially, a little bit just pure content-wise, a little bit life-wise, kind of all that. Put myself on the line and just adventure. So the main goal was just to create more content, travel more, see more of the world, and keep visiting friends. So I spent the last probably 3 or 4 months traveling, literally more days than I was at home. Right now I had a 3-week break where I was at home a little bit, but then we hit the road again next week, headed to New York, for like 10 days, back home for 2, and then I'll be in LA for a week. And then I feel like it's almost the holidays, so I'll probably shut it down a little bit, maybe one more trip. But that was mostly the goal, and I think the goal will continue that next year. Hopefully head a little more international. I explored a lot of the U.S. this year, and just kind of take what's next. I like being able, if a buddy texts me and says, hey, man, got a 3-day weekend, you want to come chill, and finding my way there, or there's some event or some competition or whatever it might be, just to be able to, at the drop of a hat, go and do that. And I'm lucky enough to be able to do that and create content. So I think I'm going to ride that out for a while and see what opportunities come next.
That's the dream, man. That's awesome. Let me know your trade secrets, because I'm trying to just creep on over.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing is just business plan this and go to school this. It's not smart, but the overused term of YOLO does play a role sometimes, of just like, this is my life, and I would rather buy a house when I'm 50 but live the life I want for those 50 years rather than buy a house and work a 9-to-5 right now. So hopefully, financial benefits come with it, and often they do, I feel like, when you really put your heart into something and work hard at what you like. But for now, just living the dream, I guess. Yeah, having fun. Fun's the number one. I always talk about positivity. I talk about self-awareness and all that. And I'm a pretty sensitive dude, so I need to be around positive people. I need to be around people that are doing cool things. And then it lifts me up, and hopefully I can mimic and share the positivity.
Having fun, that's what it's all about, man. But I know you as a coach and as someone who's really regimented and diligent in their own training, you can have fun, but then you also have to kind of stay the course. You have to look at your progress, look at your limiting factors, and then stay true to those goals. So how do you balance that? How do you have fun while staying on this structure and reaching your physical, financial, emotional life goals?
Yeah, to be honest, it's been pretty difficult. The emotional, the life, the business, all that's kind of gone well because I've put that in the forefront of my brain. Now that I'm working for myself to survive, I have to, obviously. And so all my trips have involved work to some extent. The fitness stuff's been a little tough for me, to be honest. I've lifted when I've traveled, but, I want to see the city. I want to enjoy the food of the locals. I want to hang out with my friends. I don't want to go to bed. When I'm at home, I'm in bed by 10 o'clock, just how it goes. I need my sleep.
You and me both, man.
Yeah, I'm chugging water all day. I'm eating tons of vegetables, all that junk. And when I'm traveling, like I said, I want to eat good food. I don't want to see my buddies for 2 hours. I'd rather hang out with them. So, sleep schedule's messed up. Training's not perfect. We get in the gym and we're either filming or we're messing around, having fun. So it's not as intense. And that's probably why I'll shut it down a little early this year and start to chase down my fitness goals a little bit more through the winter. But I think like everything, it's good to take a break physically. It's good to take a break mentally. It's good to have some type of balance with that. And so as long as I'm kind of lifting, I know when I want to turn it on, I kind of can. I'm not my strongest right now by any means, but within 6 months, I probably could be. So as long as you have perspective on everything and don't go too extreme one way or the other, I think you're doing all right.
Are you still actively coaching people in person, or you just provide a lot of programming online, or how are you staying afloat these days? Yeah,
so I do some coaching online, like selling programs and programming. A little bit of group coaching online, and then I do one-on-one coaching, not in person, but it's mostly like friends. So I coach a lot of the guys at Super Training still, coach a couple of guys down at Barbell Brigade, and then just I coach your brother. I coach some people, just some homies that have goals and trust in my system. But yeah, the programming, sponsorship, stuff like that, a little bit of YouTube has allowed me to stay afloat. Not live in a box yet.
What's your next big endeavor you have coming down the line? I know you said this winter you want to kind of maybe bring it back a little bit closer to home, but what does 2018 have on the horizon for you?
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely want to get in a powerlifting meet before it's probably before next spring. So whether that's end of 2017 or beginning of 2018, and really hit some all-time goals that I've been chasing for a little while on the platform. And then I just want to kind of get my hands in more things. I started a company with Bart Kwan and Omar Isov called Kaizen, which is kind of the online programming and group coaching, and it's going really well. And I love it, and I love working. I think that's a little bit of the athlete in me, and again, going back to how some of us were raised, that's I feel it's just in me. I need progress. I need to be productive, and that takes plenty of my time. By all means, I don't need to work more, but I like to be busy. So just kind of searching the world, open opportunities from all ends. I'm one of those guys that answers every DM. I don't know if I should announce that publicly because now I'm going to get more. But I answer every email. I answer every tweet just because I know, once again, that human interaction is super important for me and hopefully people in life. But you also never know what opportunities come, whether it's friendship, whether it's business, whether it's a laugh, whatever it might be. Just exploring those conversations are worth the 2 minutes it takes to write an email. So I'm going to continue to do that and see what comes. But hopefully more business, more fun, and more travels.
Yeah, can't go wrong with travel, can't go wrong with business. It's an amazing combination, especially these days when they can come together so seamlessly, and we have these amazing assets and tools and resources such as people like this, reaching out over a podcast, connecting via Instagram, traveling pretty much anywhere these days, and you're going to be able to find someone who has that same like-minded mentality and just attitude towards everything.
Yeah, it really is insane. Not that it's easy, but how accessible with a little bit of hard work and focus. And here goes the cliche motivational speaker, but like you can fucking do anything you want with the internet.
Yes,
yeah, it's insane. It's insane. I was explaining that Connor, my homie who edits my videos, he's in his early 20s. He's still in college. And I was just explaining some stuff like that to him, and I just saw his eyes open. He's like, look, like we could make a sock company. I was like, bro, we could make a car company if we really wanted to. Like we could do anything. It would just take a little bit of like step-by-step and research. But like literally you can do anything with the internet and a little bit of focus.
What would you say to someone right now who has an idea or is trying to start a business or is trying to level up their gym game, trying to hit a PR? What's the one piece of advice you would tell them to, the people they should surround themselves with, or the program they should get on, or that mindset?
Yeah, I think the first mindset, and again, I like to consider you and I just beyond the millennials, even though we're probably right in the middle of it.
Yeah, a little bit.
I find that people, instead of doing a little bit of due diligence, research, and work, will just try to get the quick answer. And so, like, literally, I'll get emails with stuff that Google will answer in 10 seconds.
Oh, man, I cannot tell you how many people I reply back to. I mean, in my head, I reply back to them. Most of them I just ignore, but they're like, yo, hey, how do you do this? How did you find that? What product is this? And in my head, I'm like, man, you have the exact same iPhone that I do, that I found the same answer,
It's so bad. Yeah, like, do I measure my chicken cooked or raw? Well, one, who cares? And
Seriously,
two, Google it. Like, I'm not your chef. Like, what is... And I answer it, and again, that's all my fault, because then more people, I'm sending out that vibe that
You're an enabler, Mike. You're an enabler.
I 100% am. So one would be do more on your own and do more research. And I think with both of those, you can literally do anything. I mean, I learned a ridiculous amount about training from Mark Bell and Ed Cohn and Brian Shaw and all these amazing athletes. But I still say to this day, 50 to 60% of what I've learned was just me doing research on the internet, reading books, watching seminars, going to seminars, etc. And I think the same could be in business and in look, I don't have a degree. I mean, I have a college degree. That's it. I dropped out of college, or excuse me, I have a high school. I dropped out of college, and I'm owning one or two businesses. I've helped develop $1 million businesses. I've done these things, and it's just pure by logic, my own hard work, and doing a little bit of research every single day. My high school basketball coach, freshman year of high school, he just said, do one little thing every single day that gets you towards your goal. And he obviously put it in perspective of basketball. But he said, if you just, watch one highlight every single day, you're going to learn something. All right. And that becomes a habit. Next day, you have to get up 10 shots every single day. All right. That becomes an easy habit. Then you get up 20 shots. Okay. Then you spend 10 to 20 minutes conditioning every single day. All right. Now you build up all these habits over years and years and years, and good things are going to come of that.
So wait, you mean to tell me that if I just put forth some work and some effort, I could probably find my own answers?
You could do it all.
No
you could probably get to the moon somehow.
I don't think we're ever going to make it to the moon.
Yeah, do you there's a lot of weird stuff, NASA talk. I feel like since you've been in our military, you understand more things than me. There's like weird, people said the eclipse was fake, that NASA was just trying to sell us sunglasses.
Oh my gosh, man. People's ignorance never ceases to amaze me.
NASA did make a lot of money off that thing.
Oh, no
I
doubt.
heard those sunglasses were sold out everywhere.
I mean, you can market anything. I was traveling during that eclipse, and I was in North Carolina traveling down to South Carolina, and literally every billboard, every sign I saw was like, eclipse sale this. There was like some car wash, like eclipse special protection package. I'm like, what? People, there's somebody out there buying a car wash. Like, oh, yeah, I need to get this extra $10 because it leaves a film on my car that protects me from the solar eclipse, right?
Yeah, they're worried the car is going to explode by the sun all of a sudden.
Oh, man. I mean, Mike, kind of the premise behind Everforward. I mean, Max and myself and the EF message and, kind of meaning behind it. I would love to hear, one final question from you is how does Silent Mike, how does your content, how does the work that you put out, how does this help others, your audience, live a life ever forward?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I talk about the same things all the time, and it probably sounds repetitive, and it sounds a little bit guru motivational. But the truth is that I'm no better than anybody else. You and I, with a 45-minute conversation, found out our backgrounds are very similar. We're all the same, and me speaking all these motivational things about positivity, about being confident, about being self-aware, about chasing down progress are constant reminders to myself. And so basically is if I can help myself by reminding myself daily what I think it is to be a good human, that hopefully it can help other people. And again, I talked to your brother, and we had very similar mindset that if our content can teach you something, if our content can make you laugh, if that 5-minute YouTube video can make your day just a little bit better, if it can help you avoid some of the mistakes I've made over the 28 years on this earth, then I'm doing my job, and I'm going to continue to do it as long as there's somebody watching. And then if somebody's not watching, I'm going to find another space or medium to do it on. And Everforward is awesome. I love what you guys do. From the first time I heard Max talk about it, it really resonated with me. And I appreciate what you guys do in the industry and in the world as well.
Thank you, brother. I received that. Thank you very much. It takes a lot of people like yourself and what I like to think of what I do and what Max does and the people that we surround ourselves with. We run a kind of a tight-knit group. I'm going to have a brain fart and try to make a cool reference and drop the ball here. What's that Drake line? My circle's so my circle's so tight it's a period.
I don't know, but that sounds good.
That's just me trying to be relevant still. But
we're getting old.
Yeah, right, man. I got to go take my vitamins or my greens powder again. But definitely, Mike. I think a strong takeaway with you is that it's really your mindset, your attitude, your progress or your lack of progress shines through in a lot of times the people that you surround yourself with. And sometimes it's okay to stay with them. Sometimes it's okay to transition on because you just need to embrace and move on to that next season of your life. And if you're ever wondering what maybe you're doing or not doing, a lot of times just go back to that mindset, what you're thinking. I promise you, a lot of times if you're doing everything else right, that missing link is what you think, and that will just make or break any goal that you have.
Yeah, that's 100%, man. I can't agree more. Like you mentioned, we are who the 5 people we spend the most time with. I think we also are, within a 24-hour period, what we think most about.
Absolutely.
So you start focusing on things. You could call it focus. You could call it believe it to achieve it. You could call it, whatever you want to call it. But it's just fact. You start to think positive. You're going to do more positive. You're going to spread more positive.
Yeah, man. Couldn't agree more. That's some amazing parting words of wisdom. Mike, it's really good connecting with you, man. Next time I'm out that way, we gotta link up. Or like I said, if you ever come out to the East Coast, you always got a gym here in DC.
Dude, I would love to. I'll definitely make it to DC by the end of the year. That's the goal. So we'll link up for sure.
Come on down, man. Thank you so much for being on Everforward Radio. And Mike, where can we connect with you? Where online, social media? Where can we find more from you?
Yeah, Silent Mike almost everywhere. Silent Mike with 2 Ks on Instagram. If you search Silent Mike on YouTube, you can find it. The website is Kaizen, Kizen, training.com to learn more about all that.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I'll link all that down in the show notes. And that will be a wrap for this week's episode of Everforward Radio. Thank you all so much for joining me again this week. I truly hope that you have enjoyed this episode and its message. If you have found value in Everforward Radio, I would greatly appreciate you subscribing to the podcast, as well as taking just a few seconds and leaving it a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. This is the best way to make sure our message continues to reach others. Thanks again, and I hope that this content helps you live a life ever forward.